it was a really it was a unique weekend in Baton Rouge. LSU wins the game 65-17, and that was I don't know if the final score of the game hit really the top three stories in just what Baton Rouge did. The two campuses over the week was terrific. The game day was terrific. In fact, I was talking to my neighbor right before the Saints game yesterday. He was telling me how much he had enjoyed the LSU Southern game. In fact, he had just gotten home. It was about 5 minutes to 12. So the traffic was bad, right? I got it. It's one stadium. You're putting somewhere between 100 and 200,000 people, and they're all going to the same place. Yeah, there's going to be traffic, but it was maybe a little bit more than the normal. There's people cussing at me right now. It's in my car till fill in the time. So that was, the bands was fantastic. The atmosphere, everything surrounding the game was terrific. The game itself was not, but that's not terribly unexpected either. I'm not going to go back into a whole FCS versus FBS deal here. I just want to talk about what LSU wanted to get accomplished in this game. So let's go kind of down the list. The first thing they wanted to do was they were going to shuffle the offensive line. Let's call this offensive line 3.0 or 4.0 or inside their meetings rooms, for all I know, 17.0. But what they did was they moved Garrett Dellinger from center to left guard. You ever seen somebody that is doing a job, they work for a company, they work for a team, they're doing a job, they're doing the best that they can, but they're not comfortable. It's not something that they want to do. They're just doing it for the company. They're doing it for the team. And then you take them out of that job and you put them in a job that they really like and they're really comfortable with, and it's like, whew, look, man, I've been freed. That's what I thought watching Garrett Dellinger the other night. It's like, hang on, man. All I got to do is block. I don't have to snap, and I don't have to make all these line calls. I'm going to be really good at this. That's what I saw out of him. And with Charles Turner going in at center, he was able to do that. On the right side of the offensive line, they flipped Miles Frazier and Anthony Bradford. I think this has got a better current feel to it for sure, because I think that Frazier playing tackle last year, I think he's more comfortable at the position. Against Florida State, there were times where the physicality of the game got to him a little bit, but I do think he's got decent feet. So I think he's a little bit more comfortable on the perimeter. Bradford, just the opposite. He's a heavier player. He's a much bigger player. His feet aren't as good as Frazier's, but the physicality of it doesn't bother him as much on the inside. So I don't think it's perfect, but this combination at least seems to have guys in positions where they're more comfortable. Are they going to look like the old Dallas Cowboy offensive lines, with Stepnoski and Allen and those guys? No, but I think this is a better combination for now. Most encouraging to me watching the game at the end. And by the way, if you want to get a really in-depth breakdown on this, the podcast is up. The Handycast is up at Drop Biscuit Studios, 1045 ESPN.com. Gordy does a good job talking about this. Emory Jones, the freshman, got in to this game. And in my opinion, this guy's going to be a future star. He's a local product, but he's just a tremendous-looking prospect, and he is on the move. Really liked what I saw out of him. And am anxious to see some more from Fitzgerald West, another freshman who I thought, had some nice moments when he got in. So the offensive line shuffle. The quarterbacks. We saw our longest look of the season so far at Garrett Nussmeier's season so far. It's 2 games. When Jaden Daniels got to LSU, when he transferred in, the first thing I thought of was this guy's going to be the starter. He's going to be the starter because he's the most experienced of the quarterbacks that they have, and he's going to be the starting quarterback because he is the most mobile of the quarterbacks they had. And both of those things were true. I probably downplayed a little more than I should have his decision-making ability, because Jaden Daniels has done a better job of protecting the football, and Garrett Nussmeier doesn't. I'm sorry to put it in such simple terms, but one of the things that Garrett Nussmeier has going for him is that he is not afraid to make any throw. He's going to go out there. He plays tough. He plays, I don't want to say wild, but he's a gunslinger, okay? That's one of the things he's got going for him. One of the things that's going to hold him back is that he goes out there with no fear, and he's a gunslinger. And there are times that it's okay to punt the football. And, Bill Arnsparger said this 40 years ago when he was talking about a freshman quarterback named Tommy Hodson, who would go on and still is the school's all-time passing leader. And he said, I remember the press conference like it was yesterday. He's talking about, playing a freshman quarterback. He says, I got to remind him that it's okay if we punt because a punt is far superior an option than turning the ball over. And Nussmeier made some really, really, really poor decisions. So that's something that you got to coach out of him. You got to work out of him. But that's his mentality. I can make a play. And like I said, it's probably one of the things that's gotten him this far in his career, but it's also one of the things that is holding him back. LSU's run game is going to continue to be, I think, an issue. We saw some good things out of Armani Goodwin, but let's not sugarcoat this thing. LSU ran for 230 yards against an outmanned defense. And when you line up the receivers on this team, and you talk about the top guys on this team, Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Jack Besh, Chris Hilton had a nice night the other night. They all have playmaking ability, and they all have more playmaking ability than the running backs. So the running game to me is going to be, outside of Daniels, is going to be a complementary in nature thing. It can get better. We'll see what John Emery's got, we think, this week. But my hopes for LSU having a better than average run game are fading. It's just going to be something, I think, for the moment that's going to have to be complementary outside of the quarterback. So getting the ball into the hands of those receivers is going to be something that Mike Denbrock, I think, is going to have to be very creative with. And we saw a little bit of this. We saw the one carry that Boutte had. He broke that long. But we're talking more about the screen game. We're talking more about quick passes. We're talking more about a little bit of tempo, not the NASCAR as fast as you can go tempo, but a little bit faster on this offense and getting the ball on the outside on the perimeter, maybe widen some things out here and create a little bit more of a rushing lane, because LSU is just not going to have a dominant rush game outside of the quarterback position, at least not with what I see right now. Defensively, a lot of the defensive line was out. Ojulari didn't dress in this game. Gabe was suspended for the first half. We saw a number of young players. Liked the pieces that I saw from Savion Jones and Desmond Little. I think both of those guys are going to be, rotation guys this year, and guys who could, as the season goes along, step up and maybe play a bigger role. Saw less of the interior guys than maybe I had hoped, although I'll tell you, I'm a Mekhi Wingo fan. All right. He's about a half a foot shorter than Mason Smith. I get it. He doesn't look like Mean Joe Green out there. He's not the most physically imposing guy, but that cat can play. Every snap, I know the motor's going, man. And he just plays his tail off. I wish he was 6'4" and 320 pounds, but I like Mekhi Wingo. I'm a fan. On the defense, probably the one that was the most noticeable of the players that didn't start is Harold Perkins. And if I like Emory Jones on offense, and I think Emory Jones is on the move, then I think certainly Harold Perkins is a guy that's on the move on defense, and he ended up leading LSU in tackles the other night. The most interesting thing about Perkins was how many different places they lined him up. And if he's going to have that versatility and be able to attack from multiple positions, what a valuable asset that he is going to be. Very high on Harold Perkins. Thought that was one of the real bright spots of the game the other night.